it's scary, like, it's scary. It's very messed
So
up.
I'm gonna make a watch it, like, early 2000s Bollywood movie, Queen Explorer.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Here's one that she's,
You know that fire?
it's like, oh, what?
They still haven't done.
Like, no, what was the line? It's like, you wanna go see a movie? She's like, tell me how it was. Oh, that movie is fucking iconic. I love that movie so much. Oh, God. And those are so cool. Boy, that's British.
British.
There we go.
She's paying for parking? Alright, we're gonna get started, but we'll just like have her,
It has to be marked. We're not gonna remove any of absences. We have to.
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about this so many times.
okay, period. Alright, y'all,
I don't know.
everyone get seated. Are you using the bathroom?
No.
Okay. Alright, Holly, you can hear us, correct?
Ollie?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, period. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:35 PM at Flying Room A. All right, first we'll go through our land acknowledgement. So before we begin, we call for students to acknowledge that the lands that the University of California locations were built upon were expropriated and founded upon exclusions and erasures of indigenous peoples' human rights throughout California. UCSB is built on Chumash land, specifically that of the non-federally recognized Barbareño tribe. As an association that pushes the students' bodies' voices to the forefront, we should aim to make strides past just acknowledgement to those who continue to fight for their right to be recognized and respected as the original stewards of this land. I ask you all to dedicate time and care to personal education and to advocate for justice alongside Indigenous peoples. Thank you. Now moving into roll call. Dahlia Jerson,
Person present.
present. Alexa Butler,
Present.
Carly Lankarani,
Present.
Taylor Iden,
Present.
Henry Lala,
Present.
Leah Kara,
Present.
Yasmin Suk,
Present.
Levi Corlew, Leah Corsandi,
Present.
Mariana Rocio, Ella Yu, Isabella McClintock, Alejandra Martinez, Dominic Wang,
Present.
Lily Habas,
Present.
Paula Brenderson,
Present.
Iman Waidullah,
Present.
Jasmine Amin,
Roxy.
Dan Siddiqui,
Present.
Nuda Al Khatib,
Present.
Sandy Ganesh,
Present.
Aryaman Singh.
Present.
All right, now moving into excused absences. Senator Siddiqui,
Motion to add Senator LAU to excused absences.
all right, there's been a motion to add Senator Yu to excused absences. Do we have a second? Senator Gerson?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Gerson, we are now in discussion. Senator Wang, question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
All right, seeing none, motion passes to excuse, or to add Senator Yu to excused absences. Yes, Senator Iden?
Motion to excuse, or motion to bundle and approve excused absences.
There's been a motion to bundle and approve excused absences. Senator Lankarani,
Second.
seconded by Senator Lankarani. Do we have? Sorry, we're not discussion. Yes, Senator Rocio,
Call the question.
the question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Then,
All right, seeing none, motion passes. We are now moving into proxies. Yes, Senator Corsandi?
Motion to approve Eli Tamari as a proxy for Senator Amin.
There's been a motion to approve Eli Tamari as a proxy for Senator Amin. Do we have a second? Senator Waidullah?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Waidullah. We are now discussion. Senator Butler?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
All right, seeing none, motion passes. Now moving into external reports. Firstly being, or do we have any external reports from representatives in the audience? All right, seeing none, we'll now be moving into public forum. Do we have a public forum list?
With the permission of the chair, I'd like to just do it here, since it's a long way to travel to the podium. It's a
That is
chair.
completely valid.
Thank you. So,
All right, hold up. So our first speaker, will be, Mingjun Zha. So speaking agreements, you have 2.5 minutes to speak with 2 minutes for Q&A. Please state your name, pronouns, and enunciate, but refrain from yelling. Please know this meeting is being recorded. You may speak on any issue, whether it's on the agenda or not. Please include a content warning if it'll be graphic, and you may only come up once, and you may choose to not answer any questions. Do you agree?
great. Can I have 3 more minutes, please?
All right, the speaker is asking for 3 more minutes. Senator Crescendi,
Motion to extend the speaker's time for 3 minutes.
there's been a motion to extend the speaker's time by 3 minutes. Senator Gerson,
Second.
seconded by Senator Gerson. I'm working on it, I promise. We're now discussion. Senator Lankarani,
Call question?
the question has been called. Do we have any objections? All right, seeing none, motion passes to extend the speaker's time to 3 more minutes. All right, setting up that time. Just give me 1 second. So that gives like 5.5 minutes, correct? All right, so you have 5.5 minutes. You have the floor.
Thank you. So, if you can scroll down on the agenda to old business, you'll see that it's a Washington officer on the rural bill, which is a consensus among all parties. In the past 2 weeks, I talked with the Environmental Affairs Board, Senator Iden and Senator Lala, and with all those inputs, we are able to come up with something that everyone is happy with. So the main change is about the outstanding BCO awards, as you can see right now. There are first 3 overarching criteria for the awards, which are effective communication and collaboration, inclusivity and representation, and responsible use of student fee. After a BCO satisfied those 3 overarching criteria, then they will each to apply for a specific award within those, which are the following. First, student well-being. Second, professional and academic development. And third, representation to the marginalized communities. So how this works is BCO must satisfy the 3 overall criteria, and then they will choose a subcategory, if you may, to apply for the award. We believe by having those more laid out criteria and subdivide award to 3 different categories, there can be more informed comparison within different arts, and which more or less can be put in those 3 categories. And since we already have a detailed criteria, the president's task, instead of proposing the criteria, will be proposing an implementation plan of the award, which has to be approved by the Senate before she can start the process. And there's not much change of substance here, and I'll just read a few words from the chair of the Global Cultural Commission, Ray, about her view of the award. So, quote, as the chair of the Global Cultural Commission, I strongly support the establishment of the Outstanding BCO Award to recognize the hard work and impact of student organizations and BCO on our campus. BCO plays a crucial role in fostering community, diversity, and leadership. This award would honor their efforts in organizing events, promoting students' engagement, and building inclusive spaces. I believe this award will strengthen our campus community and set a lasting standard of excellence. Thank you for your consideration, end quote. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have. So at the end, I just want to say thank you to everyone who worked with me on this project. Of course, our great authors, Senator Dickey, Senator Sam, and Senator Butler. as well as the IVP Pinto and the President Broadway for their inputs. And finally, but certainly not least, I want to thank you those who had a different opinion with me, who voiced them out and then motivated me to improve the bill. It can never become how it is today without your valuable input. I really appreciate those. And also shout out to CAB, their criteria is wonderful and we adopt large part of their recommendations. So shout out to CAB. I will take questions.
All right, does anyone have any questions, concerns, comments? Yes, proxy, oh, sorry, yes, Senator Bernarson.
Could I hear a little bit more about your conversation with the Environmental Affairs Board?
Yes, of course. So it's actually a very broad conversation with, of course, one of the topic being as on the rural bill, but just on the rural in general. So in regard of the bill, the main concern is about the competition this may create in the association. And then I use the same example of the budget deliberation, which is a much more brutal process. But even after that, the association did not fall into the scramble of device. And they told me because they are allowed in BCU, so they do not take part in budget deliberations, they are not really familiar with that. I've showed them the changes and they said they like the new changes. And in terms of the broader and rural discussion, one thing stood out is other than the speed of on the rural check, it's people don't really know how to fill out on the rural form. So their recommendation is the honorary committee send out a pre-filled sample of honorary, so people will have an idea what to say. I think that's wonderful. I'll certainly advise honorary committee to adopt that.
Do you have any further questions? None? All right. Well, we're at time. Thank you so much, Minjun, for speaking. Next on our public forum list is Eric Carlson.
Everybody,
I'll read the speaking agreements first. All right, so you have 2.5 minutes to speak with 2 minutes for Q&A. Please state your name, pronouns, and enunciate, but refrain from yelling. Please know this meeting is being recorded. You may speak on any issue, whether it's on the agenda or not. Please include a content warning if it'll be graphic, and you may only come up once, and you may choose to not answer questions. Do you agree?
yes, I do.
All right, you have 2.5 minutes.
My name is Eric Carlson. I use he, him pronouns. I'm here as a student, ZAG. I hope all of you guys are doing okay, regardless of your political beliefs. There is something that I would like to request from the Student Senate, if they're interested in pursuing this. I used to serve in your guys' positions, and Charlie Kirk was coming here. I had co-authored a resolution that was like intended to express like solidarity with the transgender and LGBTQ community here on campus. I would be so incredibly happy if a positional resolution were to come out that doesn't express any political opinion or belief about the election or anything, but something that simply reaffirms a commitment to the LGBT community, our transgender individuals who are with us, as well as any other community that might be affected by the election. I want to stress that it does not have to have any political leanings about or statements about the election, but simply a reaffirmation of their commitment to those communities and any others that might be harmed. So I just want to come as a student to just kind of put that in your guys' minds as a possible avenue. And I would love to help if I could. So thank you.
Would you like to take questions?
Yeah.
Do we have any questions from anybody in the audience or everybody in the floor? Yes, Senator Butler?
Thank you for coming. Your voice is very valuable, not only as the Attorney General, but also as a student. I think that's a beautiful idea to do. And I would love to take that initiative and bring it to light. And just to have voices heard and just say something. It doesn't have to be a certain tone or language, just saying something. But I appreciate you coming and expressing that. And I actually wouldn't mind like maybe a couple of resolutions coming forward. I know we're supposed to be like a project-based Senate, but yeah. But thank you for coming. You also just said thank you for your input.
Yeah, thank you. There's the simple act of like being super optimistic, like unapologetically optimistic in those types of things and like not focusing on any, literally nothing, just be like, we're reaffirming our commitment to our communities, the people that we serve and everybody who attends this university. We want to make sure that they can feel welcome. That's something as beautifully simple as that means so much. I love it. Thank you.
Do you have any further, yes, Senator Law?
Thank you, Eric, for coming. I really like this idea and potentially we could pursue multiple resolutions on specifically thinking of the immigrant population that defines not only this campus, but this entire nation and how they feel after what yesterday symbolized. But I'm wondering more concretely, I've been thinking that I think I'm one of thousands of people on this campus that feel some sort of, you say rage, you could say some things that they don't know how to express. And I'm wondering whether arranging some space for people to get together and speak about some of these issues and how to move forward constructively, whether you guys considered that in the Kirk situation and whether, in your opinion, that might be useful here.
You have,
I'll just
finish your
answer
question.
this I'm toying with an idea of just like, I love data analysis. I love that type of stuff. And I love, it's not the act of like I said deconstructing, but I love the idea of like, rationalizing what happened. Like, and because like I'm an unaffiliated voter, right? But I volunteer a lot. And I want to be able to kind of like really understand students from both sides of the political aisle and like what brought you to the polls, right? What really kind of made you choose the way that you did? How can we kind of take advantage of what we learned from that kind of analysis and then use that to, for me as a student, to win elections in the future, right? So I'm toying with the idea of just getting some students together and doing stuff as a student. So yeah, maybe if you want to come, I'll shoot you an email.
Please do.
All right, thank you so much. Also to offer a possible resource, Senator Lala, I know the NCC today had a debriefing space for people to come in. And I think it would be worthwhile, you know, now after this coming forwards with having communication with our LGBT resources and BCUs, so our own TQCOM, RCSGD, about potentially organizing a space if we're going that route. Yeah, all right, thank you so much. Is there anyone else in the crowd that would like to speak? Yeah. All right, thank you so much. All right, now moving into new business. Firstly being a bill to amend the expansion of the Office of Senate Leadership. Senator Siddiqui and Butler, if you would like to speak.
Sure, thank you, Chair. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but essentially it's a rework of the bill we already wrote. The main difference is that our project specialists, so initially they were intended to, you know, kind of be a specialist and do more so on the groundwork in terms of different projects that the Senate is pursuing. But I kind of wanted to reevaluate the role and make it into more of a project director, meaning that they would have more of an oversight and managerial role. Both myself and Alexa would get 2 of these, meaning that they would individually be able to supervise, you know, 4 to 5 senators and just make sure that, you know, the current duties of a senator are impossible to complete and that needs to be reworked with the legal code, but at least just measuring the basic stuff of, you know, have you gone to 2 or 3 meetings that you're supposed to attend, you know, depending on your constituency per quarter? Are you like writing legislation or contributing to legislation? Are you working on projects? Are you doing committee work? Things like that. It's not gonna be too much of a punitive thing because right now the duties of every single senator is too much for anyone to individually manage, and that needs to be reformed, and it will be later on. But I think we need more staffing overall to supervise a board this large, and I also want to emphasize that the bylaws that I'm writing for, not just pertaining to this, but most of the things that I do, they're written in mind for next year. Whether that pertains to MIP, which will be the new financial system that we have, or any other large structural changes that, myself and other senators plan to make to the association, most of the time I'll be writing legislation within the context of how it'll work next year and not this year. But the project director part is one aspect of this, and then the other part is the accountability director's position that we added. So project directors will just strictly pertain to just monitoring and overseeing projects, but accountability directors will more so track, like, our senators doing their duties, the ones that I mentioned before. I'm not gonna reiterate. But yeah, that's essentially it.
I think it was good. Yeah. Definitely seconded to all of Dan's points. We introduced this bill a few weeks ago. It's been passed already. These changes are minor. I would say the largest change in our office would be these two accountability directors. Dan did a great job explaining it. And then also, I do want to emphasize that, yes, like, they're technically a part of the first and second pro temp's office, but you also have access, you all have access to people in our office as well. So it's just communicating and then being able to get the resources and help that you all might need. But thank you, Dan, for the great changes.
All right, thank you. Should I go into discussion? We'll now be opening up the floor to any form of discussion. Yes, Senator Bernison?
At this point, kind of, well, at least in committees, the committee chair kind of takes the role of accountability director. Do you see that this paid position would kind of work with committee chairs, or like kind of they take the role of accountability away from the committee chairs, or how do you see that?
Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
So I wish I could show you guys my full plan, but honestly, I'm tired of giving reports after I'm waiting multiple weeks to give another report after last week, but I wish I could show you guys this idea that I crafted in my mind that I put into a semi-report, but not fully finalized. Right now, the IVP office has a director of accountability in their office, but it's one person, and they're meant to oversee all the BCUs and all the senators, which makes like no sense. Like, who's humanly able to do that? Right?
Yeah.
So our idea is, like, me and Alexa, like, let's get 2 accountability directors each, and that way they each monitor 4 to 5 senators, which is actually like realistic. In terms of committee work, I still expect that the majority of committee work will be overseen by the chair and the vice chair of the committees. The directors of accountability more so pertain to, like, your other senator duties, whether it be constituent duties, holding office hours, writing legislation, working on projects. Ideally, I want them to coordinate with committee chairs, because that is also a huge part of our responsibilities as a Senate, but it would more so focus around the responsibilities separate from the committees.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right. Now moving into a bill to establish Office of Student Advocate General Technology Subcommittee. Senator Siddiqui or Quiller, if you would like to speak. Oh, yes, Parliamentarian John?
We may have to make some action on the bill first before we moving on.
But it's in the business, isn't it automatically tabled?
It's better that we do motions to
Okay.
variance.
All right. Sorry about that. Yes, Senator Butler?
Motion to table a bill to amend the expansion of the Office of Senate Leadership
All right,
for 1 week.
There's been a motion to table a bill to amend the expansion of this Office of Student Leadership. Is there a second, Senator Ganesh? Seconded by Senator Ganesh. We're now discussion, Senator Lankarani.
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
All right, seeing none, motion passes. Now moving into a bill to establish Office of Student Advocate General Technology Subcommittee. Authored by Senator Siddiqui and Corliss.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So our wonderful student advocate general, Alvin Wang, wrote this bill. I left suggestions adding the authorship of myself and Senator Corlew. I don't think they were accepted, so you guys may see some blanks when you're opening up this document. It has to be tabled anyway. It's a bylaws change, but I don't have much to say. I think it's great. I loved using Go Gaucho as a freshman. Personally, got to see everything that's on the dining menu, got to plan out my meals, got to see what my classes were. I think it's great that the SAG office is trying to bring it back. I think it's going to be a tremendous service for students, and I like that the SAG office is expanding, their capacity beyond just student casework and legal issues to more so software and development, because it is a huge undertapped resource and undertapped field especially within associated students and student programs. So I think everything they're doing is great. I think Alvin is great, with Go Gaucho or getting the UCSB events page up or whatever it is. I think this is a really solid bill and I'm excited to see it pass.
Senator Corliss? Period. All right, do we have any questions or concerns? Yes, Senator Benderson?
Yeah, I guess I'm asking the question again, but, it says that the taking minutes shall not be necessary. Do you know the thought process behind that? Yeah, that's enough. But it's just to keep it more casual or what's the other?
Can you talk about what specific
Oh, yeah, sorry.
part of the bill you're referring to?
B1B. Says technology committee minutes shall not be necessary and updates will be given by the team lead during OSA meetings.
Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, honestly, I don't. That would be more of an Alvin question. I guess and I'm inferring here, but my assumption is that he thinks that it would be redundant since his office will be taking minutes at their general office meeting, and so the team lead of the tech committee will be conveying all of the work that they did within that committee, so taking separate minutes for that committee might be redundant. I don't know that, I'm assuming, but I don't know.
I feel like that makes sense. Do we have any further? Yes, Senator Singh?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, if the technology committee, if they pass any motions for funding or anything, they would need their minutes on the bills we passed last week. So for the requisition fund, they would need minutes. So I would just ask them to reconsider this. If they do want to pass any, we can do it.
I think that it'll just be going into the OSA minutes. Yes, Senator Singh?
Since it was passed by the committee, the technology committee itself, it would technically have to be from that committee.
There's the key. Further? Okay. Do you have anything to say? Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
Senator Singh, if they're requesting funds specifically for the technology committee, I can see your point. However, I think that if the office of the student advocate general were to request funds, it would probably be, they'd probably just use minutes from their general office meetings, also considering that their technology committee doesn't have a budget assigned to it. So I assume they would just use the regular OAG account. However, this is all an assumption. The wonderful Alvin is not in the room with us, but that's my assumption.
Yes, Senator Singh?
Yeah, so they would just have to make the motion again in the OSA meeting for it to be officially put.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yes, Senator Iden?
Also, I think it's important to note that all of this is already in legal code. All it's doing is changing the office members.
Change it from 3 to
Thank
5.
you. Yes.
Any further questions? All right, we're still in discussion. Senator Butler?
Motion to table a bill to establish Office of Student Advocate General Technology Subcommittee for 1 week.
All right, there's been a motion to table a bill to establish the Office of Student Advocate General Technology Subcommittee for 1 week. Do we have second, Senator Martinez? Second. Seconded by Senator Martinez. We are now discussion. Senator Lankarani?
Call the question?
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
And
Seeing none, motion passes. All right. Moving past the second page of interest. Anyone else have anything? Senator Siddiqui?
Motion to add a bill to expedite the usage of student fees to new business.
All right, there has been a motion to add a bill to expedite the usage of student fees onto new business. We have a second, Senator Lankarani.
Second.
Seconded by Senator Lankarani. We're now in discussion. Senator Waidula. Question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
All right, seeing none, motion passes to add a bill to expedite the usage of student fees onto the agenda. All right. So now we are in a bill to expedite the usage of student fees. Would the co-authors like to expand? Yes, Parliamentarian John?
Yes, so per legal code, for all legislation motioned onto the agenda, the authors had to give a brief, I guess, explanation of why it was not submitted before the agenda deadline.
All right, thank you. Senator Siddiqui Sorsing, would you like to elaborate? Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I can start us off. Thank you, Chair. In regard to why I didn't formally include this on the agenda, it was something that I wrote up just a couple hours ago, in consultation with other professional staff. Specifically because I was looking for a way to get funds from undesignated to the Senate unallocated account. It's been a popular, topic of discussion amongst us as a body, so. Yeah, the reason why I didn't include it before is because I just wrote it like 5 hours ago.
All right, thank you. Senator Singh, would you like to elaborate? All right. Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I do want to speak a bit about the actual legislation and the purpose of it, and I invite the executive director to come comment as well after discussion is over amongst senators. There's two fundamental changes that are being made. The first change is that within current legal code, it states that within our reserve accounts, so for full context, we have over $7 million in our reserve accounts. However, only a very small percentage of those funds are actually accessible to us because the other funds are either capital reserves or they are tied to lock-ins. This bill is simply changing the language from saying that reserves can only be transferred into other socially responsible investment projects to also saying that they can be transferred to other accounts within ASU CSB. I will state that the specific account that we're looking at is account 969 undesignated. We are not looking to drain the entire account. That would be very fiscally irresponsible. Those funds were, for example, used for MIP among many other important services. So we need a decent amount of funds in there. And for context, account 969 is our undesignated / professional fees reserve account, meaning that it's kind of a sweep account. And I don't want to go too in depth on that, but I can explain it in further detail to anyone who's curious, but it's yeah. And so essentially, I only really intend to take out 100 or 200K from that account. I don't think we should drain it, but I think it would be nice to have a bigger balance in Senate unallocated. And so this bill just, codifies it because right now the language is kind of vague and I don't want to take any more chances with the Attorney General. So I think clarifying the bylaws is wise in this instance. And the other change that I made is myself and Senator Corlew. Senator Corlew is the liaison for the AS Investment Advisory Committee. They're one of our subcommittees. They have some longer term goals related to investing and drafting a new investment policy statement in accordance with the new financial institution or bank that we partner with in replacement of Montecito Bank and Trust. So I'm also amending the bylaws to just give them more direct access to about 10% of the funds in our reserves account to actually invest and make decisions on that because these are student fees that all undergraduates are paying that we're collecting. So those are the only two major changes in this bill. Again, it has to be tabled for a week anyway, but that's my intention in it.
All right, thank you. Senator Singh?
Yeah, nothing more to add on it. Senator Siddiqui went over it pretty well, which is the bill to transfer money from our reserves to our ASUCSB accounts, including our assigned unallocated. We're not gonna be draining all of it, just a little bit, so that's all. Not you.
Okay, thank you. We're now in discussion. Yes, Senator Purcell?
Is there anything like you think you can add, or like, I don't know, I'm trying to say like what, how does this stop other years from taking money out of this account, and putting it into other accounts that like is not necessarily what you planned on doing? That was such a weirdly worded question, but do you understand what I'm trying to?
Senator Siddiqui?
So it's a great question and you're right. And it's
Yeah.
something that I thought about and pondered and I was like, what if we have, for lack of a better word, what if we have a bunch of dummies
Yeah,
this year
exactly.
who are just throwing money around? The issue with that is that we are a student-led organization. And our predecessors could have thought that about us. But the reality is that students across this campus elect senators and they elect executive officers to carry out the will of the student body. And that extends to managing student fees. So if those students hypothetically in the future make poor decisions, that's who the campus elected, and that's the nature of our democracy and our electoral system, and that's what we have to agree with. It's one of the cons of being student run, you know, we're all growing and we're developing and we make mistakes, but it's also beautiful in the sense that this is one of the only institutions where we can truly run it ourselves, and it's a learning experiment, and it's an experiment is the perfect word for it. And I think that it is possible that these fees are maybe spent irresponsibly, but I think at the same time, there's, you know, that's what this institution was built for. It was built for us to make mistakes, and if the future senates make mistakes with student funds, then that's who the students elected to make those mistakes.
Yes, Senator Purcell?
Okay, yeah, I totally agree with you. I do think that it should be under like the advisory of the students that the student body elected to represent them and decide what to do with the funds. But have you considered like adding a fiscal cap to how much can be transferred out of the account, like, so it's not an unlimited number? I don't know what exactly that number would be, but let's say like, for example, like you said, you only want to take out like 100K, you could say like a cap of 200K. And like with an exception that would have to be passed by a vote, like if they want to exceed that number, but just some sort of accountability measure to make sure that they're not just irresponsibly spending all the money in that account. I don't, just an idea.
Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really great suggestion. Thank you for making it. Again, this has to be tabled anyway, so I wrote it like 5 hours ago. I was expecting to go back and make revisions, but I think that is a good idea. Right now, we have the 10% amount allocated for the investment advisory committee to make their own short-term investments. So I think for the Senate, if we set a rate around 30 or 40%, you know, obviously our financial operations professional staff and our executive director are gonna know, like, are gonna be able to give us fiscal advice on how best to, you know, what percentage to set it at, how much we should spend. But I think it is important to, like, even though this is a student-led institution, we should maybe curtail future senates from just taking out the entire account. So I agree with that idea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator Iden?
So just what's your timeline on this? Because I think it would be a good idea to just add some like stopgap measures in the legislation, so we can add, it's kind of like the whole thing with Ming-Jane's legislation, how it was broad. I think it's a good idea to make it more flexible, but also add it so there's, you know, requirements, like how to, like when to be able to do it. So what's your timeline on this? Like I don't know if you have time to make the changes today, if you have something in mind, or if we make the changes by next meeting and then pass it the week after, although we might be in finals then, what week are we in?
Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I'm happy to make changes today. However, I do want to sit down and make changes with professional staff as well, because they are the ones who are most knowledgeable about this. However, if anyone has specific suggestions, I'm welcome to make them right now because it has to be tabled anyway. I would like this bill to be passed next week. If not, we can wait till the week after. The reason why, and I'm not in a rush to do this, but the reason why I would like it done is because as soon as it's done, we can make a motion to actually transfer the money. But like, it's also something that I don't want to rush it, and we have at least around 3 to 4 meetings, maybe 2 to 3 for the rest of the year, so we have time, but.
Yes, Executive Director.
Thank you. I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to comment on this. in the ensuing week. I also would invite the Senate to consider, directing me to really run this by UC legal counsel, including the chancellor's office. Mandatory student fees, which is what we're talking about, have a layered, sense of responsibility and delegation, right? So, so however it winds up, looking, or the legislation winds up looking, I think it would be a good thing to run a draft before it's finalized by Senate, as well as a consideration that any kind of transfers are actually reviewed by the chancellor's office and legal counsel, because they're fees that are mandatory student fees. And they have like a lot of layers of policy. That's just my preliminary, in case you all can add that this evening. I do want to put it on the record as well, that's all by delegation of authority. It's not a uniquely and direct authority given to this party. Make sense?
Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I do agree with your sentiment, Executive Director Marquez. I guess my biggest worry is that I think we should run it through campus legal counsel and the chancellor. I think especially the transfer of funds is more important than maybe the actual legislation itself, because that's actual funds. However, I do worry with my experience with campus legal counsel that it will take a decent amount of time, and based on, again, and I understand this transcends the Constitution. This is PCAUS, this is UCOP policy. Totally understand. From what I've read within the bylaws, and please, Executive Director, if I'm missing information here, please fill that in. I understand that the regents delegated this authority to the chancellor delegated it to us, and then we delegated it to you. So within us taking or rewriting these bylaws and making this transfer, like from your preliminary estimate, we are still acting within our rights, correct?
Grant comment, Chair?
Yes, Dr. Marquez.
I have very little experience in transcending delegated authority. I did it once, very early on, and it was not appreciated by the campus. Let me put it that way, and it was not appreciated by the system. And in that regard, that's where my advice is. You're absolutely correct, but the issue with delegated authority, like you borrow somebody's car, it isn't, you don't really go through all of the things that could go wrong. And so delegated authority works at the same time. Sometimes there may be things that they weren't foreseen. So that's why I would invite us to review and have them review the legislation itself, as well as identify an element of oversight if and when we're making any change.
Director Marquez, thank you for speaking and offering your expertise. If you could please refer us to any specific individuals that maybe you've worked with in the past that are part of that legal counsel, that'd be much appreciated. Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
I believe it would be Nancy Hamill, correct me if I'm wrong.
At the chancellor's office and.
All right. That would.
Caesar.
All right, thank you. We're still in discussion. Senator Butler?
Motion to table a bill to expedite the usage of student fees for 1 week.
A motion has been made to table a bill to expedite the usage of student fees for 1 week. Do we have a second? Senator Lankarani?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Lankarani. We are now in discussion. Senator Kara?
On the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections? All right, seeing none, motion passes. All right, now moving into action items. Yes, Senator Singh?
Sure, I went to article.
All right. Moving back into new business. A motion has been made to add, yes, Senator Singh?
Motion to add a resolution to allocate funds for diversity, inclusion, and equality events.
All right. A motion has been made to add a resolution to allocate funds for diversity, inclusion, equity, I'm sorry, I'm still reading. This is a very long thing. There's been a motion to add a resolution to allocate funds for diversity, inclusion, and equity events, under new business. Do we have a second? Senator Kadal? Seconded by Senator Kadal. We're now discussion. Senator Siddiqui?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
All right, seeing none, the motion passes to add this resolution into new business. It's a resolution, they don't have to explain it.
No, and it has to be explained with motion to agenda. Yeah, that's the how to have explanation.
Okay. Would the Senator Singh, who co-authored this? All right, Senator Singh or Kurlu, would any of you like to explain why this wasn't added earlier into the agenda?
Yeah, no, I only finalized this resolution after consultation with our CCO, David Junior Sim, on Monday evening. And I also spent a lot of time doing some other committee business, so it's just taking a while to do the
Period. It's now HCO.
HCL.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Correct? It's HCO now. We haven't changed it officially. No,
Sorry about that.
no, it's all good. Technically it's still CCO, I guess. All right. Thank you for that explanation. Senator Corley, would you like to expand?
Good.
Okay, period. All right. Would any of you like to talk about this resolution?
Yes, so last week in my report, I mentioned that I wanted to introduce some equity within the finance committee, because right now we operate on a first come, first served basis. Which means that groups or BCUs that come at the end of the quarter, they are less likely to get funding for events, right? And this usually impacts events that are sponsored by groups that are like upholding minorities, right? Because usually they don't fall into any of the other mission-centric funds that we have, funds like academic teams or sports teams. This would just be creating a new type of fund called DEI events, which will be supporting those groups. Right now, this would only be a pilot program until week 6 of winter quarter. The reason for that is because before making a bylaw change, I wanted to gather some data on this first. At some point, I do plan to have this in our bylaws and make it a permanent change and have it to be around 35,000 instead of 15, which is right now. But yeah, in week 6 of winter, I'll be giving a report to the Senate as well on the findings of this pilot program, and then that will be it.
All right, thank you. Senator Corley, do you have anything to add? All right. We're now in discussion. Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, thank you, Senator, for bringing this resolution. I first want to say that I agree with the end goal. I agree with the conclusion. I think this fund is needed. However, my issue arises within using funds from Senate unallocated, and simply because I want to pose a question to you. Based on the minutes that I've reviewed, we have around $60,000 of rollover from the Student Commission on Racial Equity. I believe a pilot program like this obviously would have to be co-signed by their board, but it seems to fit right into their mission. Is there a reason why we have to use Senate unallocated funds and not their funds?
Senator Singh?
Yes, the reason for that is SCORE obviously stands for Student Commission on Racial Equity. This would target minorities in in colleges as well, like women in engineering, right, or LGBTQ in engineering. SCORE would not be able to help with that. This is the reason for this event, for this fund.
Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
Senator, I do think that is a matter of interpretation. I mean, I'd have to pull up the exact, body of SCORE's mission. However, what I would say is that Senate unallocated, we just spent 23.5K last meeting. I think it's worth asking SCORE, do you think if this fits within your mission? If they say yes, and if it's approved by all the entities that need to approve it, I think it's worth at least posing the question, because while SCORE does mainly focus on racial equity, I don't believe that their mission is simply tied to solely promoting racial equity.
Yes, Senator Singh.
Thing is, that is also not a permanent fund for the finance committee to use. Right, next year, maybe we don't have those funds, because we spent it all, and then we approve of the rollover request. So next year, maybe we don't have these guaranteed funds that would fund DEI events, right? You don't know if scores approval, or scores rollover will be approved next year, or how much will it be approved. So this is to guarantee that some money is used for DEI events.
Yes, Parliamentarian Shaw?
I have a somewhat legislative technicality point that I have to raise. So if you can scroll down to section 2 of the let it be resolved clause. As you can see, there are names of specific entities being mentioned here. And in general, I do advise against from showing specific entities name in legislation. I'll share you a story. So I was very involved with the Agricultural Commission. And when we are doing our hiring for this year, we asked our advisor, can we give preferential treatment to international students? And he told us, no, we cannot do that because Constitution says everyone has to have equal access. So I do believe the end goal can be achieved within the scope of the Constitution, but the language has to be worked out. And I'm happy to work with the author on the languages. Yeah.
Senator Singh?
Oh, yeah, that's my bad. I don't know if you couldn't do that, but if I was to change this, it would have to be in motion because it's on the agenda.
Parliamentarian Shaw?
Yes, that will be a motion to open up the bill and then a motion to change specific. I can give you some suggestions if you give me suggestion access. I yield.
Senator Singh?
These two. And I also wanted to talk about the other point Senator Siddiqui brought up, which I didn't address. The only reason this would come out of unallocated is because all of the other events do for the finance committee. That's the only reason I said unallocated. That's just what it says in policy. I mean, so that's the only reason I said unallocated.
Yes, Senator, meu Deus. Senator Iden?
Do you have an MOU signed with SCORE?
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing that?
Yeah.
with me, or everyone?
Let me just. Can I just-
Senator Singh?
you want me to just summarize it right now?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Or I mean, it'd be nice to look at if you could.
I wasn't wrong. But it's just that, sorry.
Senator Singh?
It's just that we check if the request aligns with financial policy and if it's financially sustainable. SCORE checks if it's aligning with their mission. That's the entire.
I also don't think that SCORE has a chair appointed right now. Senator Singh?
They do, it's not a co-chair. They have one chair.
We have one chair. All right. Senator Ganesh?
We have one chair, Cecilia Aiden.
Cecilia Aiden T. Okay. Senator Siddiqui?
So a few points. For the record, no one has been officially legally appointed, so that needs to be done.
That's the point I was raising.
That's a COC job, so they need to do that. In regards to Senator Singh's point,
Oh, no, sorry, just to interject, it's not a COC if they're chair, it's Nyali's. It's President Broadway's.
yes, thank you for that correction, Chair. COC only appoints members. Chairship is solely within the jurisdiction of the president. I wanted to go back to Senator Singh's point about, not having guaranteed access to SCORE's rollover funds year in and year out. I agree. The rollover that we collected from SCORE is temporary. You're right. However, this pilot program is also temporary. That's within the nature of pilot programs. Pilot programs are temporary. So I don't see the issue in using temporary funds to fund a temporary pilot program. And then if it is successful, which I assume it will be, we find permanent funding for it next year.
Yes, Senator Singh?
Yeah, like I said, this is just a temporary thing to gather some data so I can back up when we do submit a permanent change to the legal code and our policy. Because I do know DEI is controversial for some people. I just want some data backing up why we do these funds. That is why I'm introducing a pilot program.
All right, I'll be taking a point of personal privilege and will be yielding chairship to Senator Butler. Senator Iden?
Would you consider presenting a pilot program along with this funding, such as what Senator you did beforehand before we pass this? Because this feels a little unfleshed out right now.
Senator Singh.
Could you rephrase your question? I didn't really understand.
So right now, you're asking us to pass $15,000 from some unallocated without us, like, we vaguely know what it is, but like, if you look at what Senator Yu did past 2 weeks, she came with a pilot program, we corrected her, we changed it, and then we were more than willing to fund her program. So would you consider doing something like that before we pass it this meeting?
Please, yes, I would love opinions, feedback from everyone on this. I'm down to table this for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. I wanna do this, but I also wanna do it right. So I would appreciate everyone's feedback and opinion.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, I know you mentioned like specific groups, but in the future, when you're evaluating groups that come to you specifically to use this fund, like, what's the criteria for deciding if they fit under DEI? Like, what groups fit under DEI and what doesn't? Like, it seems very up to interpretation.
Parliamentarian?
Since Sam, before you answer that, I have to warn you that we are on record and with the Constitution states in no uncertainty that we cannot give preferential treatment to student groups based on their inherited identity. So please be very careful about your answer.
Thank you. Would you like to?
Yeah, so, I mean, sorry, I just wanna address parliamentarians' point. We also have funds for academic teams and academic conferences, which we don't need, and they don't need an exception for travel for that one, but usually they do. Would you say that is also preferential treatment? Or-
Parliamentarian?
So if you go to page 9 of the legal code, it's Article 2, Section D. I'll read it. All students shall have the right to be free from discrimination and harassment on the basis of race, gender, sex, ethnicity, religion, national origin, disability, sexual orientation, status within or outside the university, all political belief in all activities sponsored or conducted by the university, its affiliates, its ASU, SB, or campus student groups. So just to my Attorney General Kelson can better answer it, but just to my understanding, it doesn't mention anything related to academic.
Thank you, parliamentarian. I'll be yielding the chairship back to IBE.
Thank you. Senator Singh?
Not taking any funds away from other groups or other funds. I'm just creating a new type of fund. Not taking money away from culture and grads, not taking money away from teams, academic teams, sports teams, conferences, and creating a new type of fund.
Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
Yes, I'll be quick. I'll let you, or the chair may let you go after the parliamentarians. I believe there's a miscommunication here. So you're talking about in terms of, our accounts for academic teams and Stark or whoever else is that preferential treatment. I would say no, because that's an established account within the bylaws and finance committee where there are funds that they're allowed to give out. If we, pass this resolution and then we eventually pass a bylaw change and we establish this DEI account within the finance committee, that's not giving preferential treatment to student groups or students who are engaging in DEI initiatives, right? But the point that the parliamentarian was trying to make is that we are on the record. You have to be very, very careful about how you define DEI. DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion. There are a lot of marginalized identities and potentially, even though you wouldn't intend to, and I know you wouldn't, if you provide a definition of DEI that leaves out a certain community, that can come back to bite you and the Senate as a whole. We are under a Title VI investigation from the Department of Education, as well as, I don't want to go into it too much, but there are a lot of different lawsuits and legal troubles that we're facing right now, and so we have to be extra careful.
Thank you, Senator Siddiqui. Senator Singh?
Yeah, like I said before, I'd be so down, if someone has any feedback or changes they want to make this resolution more specific. Because like I said, I also want to make this a bylaw change eventually, so I would recommend, or I would invite any changes eventually.
Thank you. Senator Sandhu?
I would love to work on this with you, but I wanna know, like, what is your main goal from this resolution? Like, is it to specifically fund these DEI, groups? Or is it to make sure that, like, people who come later in the year have access to funding, or is it both?
Senator Singh?
Kind of both,
Okay,
but the main mission of the pilot program is to gather data.
oh,
Oh, thank you. First question? I'm sorry, my mouth is full. Senator Joseph?
First, also, well, I have a question, but first, how are you planning to gather data? I don't know if you said it and I missed it. I guess what I was wondering, I also might have missed it or not understood it well. But it's just like the same kind of fund of money that they're already using, put into a different location? Like, is it? Cause I am just not understanding the difference of them coming to ask us for money or this being their source of money, like, cause it's not like you're gonna be actively creating these events, you're more funding the event, so either way, they'd have to request money. I agree. Like, what's the difference of just coming to FMB and asking for money than this being created?
What's interesting?
So, right, so right now, we have about 12 different funds, out of which we fund events from, or fund anything out of, right? 10 of those are mission specific. So I cannot break those missions and fund anything out of those missions. The two of them that are not mission specific are SEAL Fall Quarter or SEAL Winter Quarter or SEAL Spring Quarter, which we get from SEAL itself, Student Engagement and Leadership. It is a campus department. And the other one is Senate unallocated, right? These are general funds, which can be used for anything. Usually, any events that would fit into DEI would be funded out of the SEAL funds, right? But that is the fund that is being used the most. Like, I would say about 60% of the requests we get is from the SEAL thing. And we do run out of money at the end of the quarter. Like you've seen in winter last year, we did run out of money. So this would just be like, okay, we're gonna be setting aside some money, especially for these events.
And that's a follow-up
Senator Joseph?
person, but just
Person.
super quick follow-up. The 10 accounts that have like a mission for the money to be used for. Do none of those missions align with DI? And if not, who created them, what's the purpose of the missions, and is the money there getting like trapped essentially? If no one's requesting it?
Senator?
So some of the other accounts are like academic teams, which we fund teams that are going for conflict, academic competitions like debate team or MUN. Other ones like academic conferences, like if we're funding someone that is going for a conference upstate, in-state, or is traveling. It would be like sports teams, culture and grads, right? But that one doesn't really fit into this. It's a very general, and it won't really fit with these things. It's a completely different fund. The other ones, like we said before, are my MOUs with different VCUs, like ES Program Board, or SCORE, or EAB, or CAP, or anything like that. They don't fit with any of these missions. So that's why. And I didn't create these either. This is already there.
Thank you. Senator Iden?
Motion to table a resolution to allocate funds for diversity, inclusion, equity events.
A motion has been made to, sorry, can I finish chewing? A motion has been made to table a resolution to allocate funds for DEI events to next week. Senator Singh,
Second.
seconded by Senator Singh. We're now discussion. Senator Siddiqui,
Call the question.
the question has been called. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. All right, we're still in new business. Does anyone want to add anything? Okay, finally back into, now we're moving into action items. The first line item being proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASU-CSB Senate. And this is, I guess, authored by Senator Iden.
Yes.
Would you like to talk a little bit about it?
Sure. So just from the past couple of weeks of Senate, this change is being made just from my observations and my experience. I know Senator Siddiqui has had a lot of discussion around having people be engaged in meetings and holding people accountable so they're actively participating in legislation, resolutions, and finances on the floor. So my goal in this is to make it so one, everyone's voice is being heard each time, and people who may not be familiar with parliamentary procedures or not want to engage in, having to object to a call to question. So we're getting forced into this, okay, no one really wants to go against a motion to pass or whatnot, and so we don't really get to hear people's opinions. This is basically going to make it so motions for legislation and funding, whether it's the movement, like the movement of funds, the allocation or the approval, we'll be doing hand vote. So everyone's voice will be heard, and then the voting requirement will be based on, because that was one of the initial, it was originally gonna be like a 2/3, but that's not entirely accurate on the legal code, because some requirements in legal code require different amounts of voting to pass. I'm more than open to feedback on this. I'd like to make it so everyone's, okay with it. One of the concerns that Senator Siddiqui brought up with me was, in case we have a contentious legislation, there might not well, for example, if people would like to do a secret ballot, that was one of like the issues that we wouldn't be able to do that, but I'd also like to point out in our standing rules, certain of these rules can be suspended by the presiding officer. So should there ever be a situation that is needed to do a secret ballot, this could be suspended. But that's all I have to say. I'd love feedback. Anyone who'd like to make improvements or they like how it is. I could also change it to where it's like unspecified motions, but I'd like it to be where people all engage with the voting. That's my goal in this.
All right, thank you, Senator Iden. We're now discussion, Senator Law.
Yeah, I briefly wanted to say that I personally think that this brings us way closer to the Senate that we want to become. But I wanted to address just one potential objection or one thought that people might have is that, I mean, we have so many things to deal with. Might this not make us a little bit slower? I would say that it would, and that's a good thing. There are certain points at which being slow and considerate about making decisions is the exact right thing to do. I mean, the check of the judicial and the executive and the legislative, which we have in this association and nationwide, is there by design so that we're not able to make horrid mistakes, hopefully, because we're able to check one another. With that same thought in mind, it's better, and I think this is our primary duty as a Senate, to allocate the vast budget that we have. And it'd be much better if we sat and thought about these things, even if it allows for a few more seconds of thinking, that would be good. And I think that if an individual senator disagrees with a certain motion, but to some extent, they're not willing to die on that hill, they're probably not likely to make an objection to it in the way that it's currently stated, but they would be much more likely to address it and deal with it in a much deeper way if this passes. I think this is a common sense reform, and I'm in full support.
All right, for the future, I would just like to add, not referring to certain motions or certain actions on the Senate floor as common sense. That's really it. All right, Senator Siddiqui.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, Senator Iden and Senator Lala. I will say, I think the main comment that I left or that I conveyed to Senator Iden was about the hand vote, just in cases of secret ballot. I do think, and maybe the parliamentarian would have suggestions about this, maybe changing it to requiring a recorded vote. That can encompass hand vote, that can encompass secret ballot, that can encompass other types of votes that we want to do. I mean, you guys all know me, I'll speak interpersonally. You know that I have very strong opinions about most things. This is something that I don't have a strong opinion on, and I don't really like have a super strong preference of the way that this goes. I will say that personally, and this is my own personal thoughts, I think changing the language to making it a recorded vote is definitely necessary. I'd say I agree with Senator Iden and Senator Lala that participation across the board has to increase in the Senate. That was the entire purpose of me giving my report yesterday. I'd say the area where I disagree is that while I do think that participation needs to increase in the Senate, I do kind of see these amendments to the standing rules as kind of coddling people. And what I mean by that is that if a senator is afraid to challenge a motion that is about to go uncontested, the reality is that they're not doing their job. And maybe that sounds mean, maybe that sounds harsh, but the reality is that all of us here are elected officials. We were elected by students to fight for them and to represent them. And oftentimes that includes doing things that are scary, that includes doing things that are controversial, that includes, doing things that you're uncomfortable with. But that is one of the responsibilities of an elected official. You know, in my mind, when I think about elected officials, I see us as people who are in service roles. Like we are making an active sacrifice day in and day out to dedicate our labor to the well-being of students and the well-being of the student body. Again, I really don't have strong feelings about this. If this is what you guys want to pass, I'm not gonna fight to the death against it. However, in my personal opinion, I do disagree with this specific approach just because I feel like the approach should be instilling individual confidence in each senator to make them confident enough to raise those objections because those procedures are already built into Robert's rules, rather than just kind of artificially raising the baseline and making it so that everyone feels comfortable. Because I believe part of this being a learning experience is that people have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's not something that I'm good at 100% of the time, nor is anyone else, because we're all humans and we all improve. But I do just disagree with I agree with the outcome this is trying to create in terms of a more participatory Senate, but I disagree with the method that it's going about being implemented.
All right, Senator Iden.
I like the feedback. I would be more than happy to change it so it's a recorded vote. Regardless of whether or not this will be an encouragement, I do think it's a bonus to make it so that each senator's voice is heard. Also, if going back to the point where you discussed, this might not be the encouraging factor, and I do agree with you that it does come down to the individual senator. But when it comes to a change like this, my hope is that one, this can always be changed in the future if we find it to be repetitive or tedious. But my hope is that people can no longer just sit back and watch TV on their computer or just do other things during the meeting, because by the time we get to a vote, it's like you either paid attention or you didn't. And over time, my hope is people start getting into the groove of it, like, okay, I need to pay attention so I know how I'm going to vote. You can't just ask someone. But obviously, like, we don't know how that'll play out until this is passed, but I do appreciate the feedback.
Senator Iden, if I may, considering that I drafted this alongside parliamentarian Jha, I think a suggestion of mine is that we also maybe add, since a concern of yours was there to be like more engagement of the overall Senate body, maybe amending that change to amending this proposed amendment to also include roundtable discussions when we are passing any form of legislation. So people may choose to yield their time or speak, but either way, it addresses each senator individually in a way where they can interact with what we are proposing. Senator Iden?
I'm not opposed to that. However, I am curious because, like, in the past, we've done round robin at the chair's discretion. I'm honestly a little more okay with leaving it up to the chair's discretion instead of having it be something that we have to do each time. Also, I do find when we go into round robin, a lot of the times it's not exactly productive. I seriously don't know how many more times I can hear someone say it looks good. Not to come at anyone, but I would appreciate some more like actual constructive feedback instead of kind of trying to do a bit, but that's all I have to say.
All right, Senator Butler?
Yeah, I appreciate this. I do think there is a few issues that we're having about focus, about decorum, about respect. And I do think this is in the right direction. And I hope like we improve so this could be eliminated further on. But I do think we need to together as a Senate further discuss some of the larger concerns that are fundamentally leading to a change that would require a required handbook for all motions. So yeah, I agree with Dan when saying there should be reported. I just feel that this necessarily wouldn't be correcting a lot of the issues because I definitely agree that everyone needs to be involved in the discussion and be aware of the discussion. Which then also echoing Dan's point, we were elected to do that. I feel like there shouldn't be a stipulation to, well, we all are gonna have to vote, so make sure you're involved in what we're talking about beforehand. I just feel a little bit conflicted. Thank you.
All right, Senator Iden?
Just kind of jumping back to what Senator Siddiqui said, I appreciate your feedback, Senator Butler. I just when it goes to a recorded vote, I'll have to think of the wording for this because I don't want a recorded vote to just be unanimous consent and like that's recording. So I'm okay if we. Yes.
No, finish your
Okay,
thought.
sorry. I'm okay if we just kind of revisit this after recess once I have a proposal, and we could do that really quickly if people are okay with that.
All right, Parliamentarian Zhao?
Thank you, Chair. So in general, in Robert's Rules of Order, a recorded vote refers to any kind of votes that will clearly show senators' voting intention of the motion. So hand vote, roll call vote, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
As long as, but if you don't mind, I use you as an example. Tell either yes, then it is recorded, rather than unanimous consent, right? There's no recording attempt. Yeah.
Yeah. Senator Purcell?
Okay, I just wanna like, in response to Senator Butler, or actually, Chair Pinto, who was talking about the, round robin. I think that I do agree with Senator Iden when he said that it should be up to the chair's discretion and not in our bylaws, because I agree if I hear one more person saying yield, I'm done. And I also think it's like I don't know, it allows like you to feed off the person before you, if they say yield, like they'll be like, oh, I'll also, I don't know. There's that. And then also I just want to like share my support for adding this into the standing rules. Because I think it just adds a like sense of accountability for all senators, like we actually will be engaged in all of the like legislation or allocation of funds. I think it lets more than like the select few's voices be heard. If that's a hand vote, secret ballot, whatever that may be, but I think like we can all kind of like recognize that there are like dominating voices in the room, and I think this allows more voices to be heard in more ways than one. And while yes, they should be speaking up on their own, I think this gives them another way to do that. So that's kind of like, I think this is a great addition to our standing rules. And I do think it allows us for more time to think about it. Like, we're not just blindly like blindly consenting to the path, like allocation of funds. I think it gives us a second to think about that when we're making our decision to vote yes, no, or abstain. So, I don't know. Thank you, Senator Iden, for writing.
All right, thank you. Senator Iden, do you have anything to add?
No, I just want to reiterate, I'm fine with revisiting this after recess.
All right, Senator Law?
Yeah, I wanted to add, there was one really important point there about accountability, because I understand both Senator Siddiqui and Butler's points about we should already be doing this, and I fully understand. But what really matters at the end of the day is not the characters of represented officials, but the results that we produce for the people that elected us. So anything that makes that process easier, in my opinion, should be pursued. Let's say you're a senator in Washington, you have to walk 50 minutes to the Senate to cast your vote every day. You should be doing that. But if there's a proposal to build a train station that makes it 10 minutes, well, we should do that too, because that'll make you more efficient. And this will plainly make us more accountable, plainly make people think about what it is that we're passing, and we'll hear some more voices. So whatever the considerations of character, of virtue ethics underneath it, what matters at the end of the day is that we're all engaging and representing as many voices as possible.
Right, period. Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with Senator Iden's point about revisiting this after recess. I do just kind of want to address the point about accountability, and I see where people are coming from, and I don't entirely disagree with them. But when I think about how this plays out in a practical sense, let's say this passes, right? Realistically, if someone is watching Netflix or goofing off and they're required to go into a hand vote, people will continue doing what they're doing and just raise their hands. And maybe I'm wrong in this. If someone disagrees, please let me know. But when I think about how this practically plays out, I don't think that this amendment by itself will automatically result in those accountability measures. Now, that doesn't mean that this amendment shouldn't pass, right? But I guess the larger issue that I'm getting at that I tried to get to in my report is that, you know, we can pass this amendment. I'm not strongly against it. I'm not strongly for it. But in terms of individual accountability, I don't want this to be the end all be all in terms of individual accountability, because I don't think this is enough to sufficiently ensure that. The reality is that if people are blatantly not doing work or goofing off, they should be removed. That's the reality. They should be removed or kicked out of the meeting or not paid half or all of their honorary. That's the reality. The reality is that we all signed up to do a job and we're expected to do it, and you get paid in accordance for that. And if you don't do it, then you shouldn't be paid and you shouldn't have your job. And I think we need to start introducing penalties if this, you know, continues to be a pattern. And luckily, you know, this meeting has been much better than previous meetings, which I'm grateful for. I don't see any huge issues right now, but I don't want this to be thought of as the end all be all in terms of accountability. I think we need way more accountability measures put into place.
All right, thank you. Do we have any further questions or comments? All right, well, we're still in discussion. I propose that someone make a motion, or we can just, yeah, we can just do recess. Well, we're not supposed to recess till 9.
How about let's move to the next item on the agenda?
Yeah, let's do that. All right, we will be revisiting this later. Thank you, everyone who spoke. Now moving into the recommendation from the CC office regarding legislation numbering. The CCO wrote this, so I asked everyone to at least review it, please. Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I guess since I'm the one who added it to the agenda because the CCO emailed it to me, I can speak on it a bit. I don't want to read out the entire thing. It's a semi-long document. It's 9 pages. I just genuinely hope that everyone here takes the time to read through it. It's very simple. David is a genius. All this is doing is just simplifying what we're doing. I'll be honest, I have not been 100% on top of, you know, numbering legislation. Sometimes I don't pay attention to the fine details, but that's why we have our controls and compliance office to catch all these little things. But essentially what this is doing is if you look further into the document, it's providing a basic structure and format for how we title and number our bills. And this does seem insignificant at first, and it is in a certain respect, but the reason why it is significant is because we are currently in the process of digitizing almost all aspects of our association. Holly Mays is working on converting our legal code into a live Google document, which means it will regularly update after every Senate meeting, which will be extremely helpful. This new numbering system will help provide a standardized system for us to log and track legislation within the bill book that is maintained by staff, as well as other areas of keeping records of our legislation. It's essential to have a standardized system in order to log anything digitally. And so this is just providing the structure to do that. I've talked to Parliamentarian Zaw about this. He's going to look into, you know, either reworking some of the past legislation or just implementing this practice going forward in regards to bill numbering and also other procedural issues, whether it comes to fiscal impacts or not, but that's an unrelated topic. But that's essentially the gist of this report.
All right, thank you, Senator Siddiqui. Yeah, I do implore you all to at least read over some of the main points. And please refer to this document when you are creating bills or any form of legislation that you're bringing to the table. Yeah, and especially now that my office's web development director is trying to digitize and improve our Senate website. This is fundamental, so people have something to refer to. Yeah, so, thank you. We are in discussion still, Senator Iden?
Senator Ziggy, from your understanding, is this the same system that was used in the past? Because when I look at past legislation, looks very similar, or is this a different system that we're using?
Senator Siddiqui?
So based on my conversations with our Controls and Compliance Office, the prior Senate leadership created a new version of the legislation titling or numbering system. And I believe it just wasn't followed by all the senators in the 74th Senate, and also the Controls and Compliance Office just didn't like it. So it's weird because there's a procedure in the bylaws for how we title legislation, but no one follows it. So the prior Senate leadership came up with their own system, but no one codified it into the bylaws, and then no one followed it. This is kind of the same thing. I think that honestly, after discussing this as a Senate, it would be appropriate to table to the liaison committee. This is directly within their function, and then depending on the feedback that's gained outside of liaison committee, we actually work this into standing policies or bylaws, wherever it's most appropriate to solidify it. But to answer your question, there's basically 3 different systems. This is one that hasn't been used yet, and this is separate from anything that has been used before.
All right, thank you. Senator Wydilla?
This is more of a minor question, but by representing this to the Senate, do you want us to provide you your recommendations for aim towards the resolution, or do you want to just simply adopt it? Because it did just say like how you want to maybe possibly coordinate this towards the license. So I'm just wondering if you just want to put the present.
Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, when I say reviewing, I think I imply also like leaving suggestions within reviewing. So yes.
All right, thank you. We're still in discussion. Senator Siddiqui?
Motion to table the bill and resolution numbering system proposed by the Controls and Compliance Office to the liaison committee.
All right, there's been a motion to table the AS Senate Bill and Resolution Numbering System Specification Volume 1.1.0 to Liaison Committee. Is there a second? Senator Ganesh? Seconded by Senator Ganesh for non-discussion. Senator Lakarani?
Call question.
Question has been called. Do we have any objections? All right, seeing none, motion passes.
One
Yes,
clarification.
Senator Iden?
So this is just a recommendation from Controls and Compliance. Would we not want to maybe direct the liaison committee to explore or implement, like direct them to do legislation regarding this, or what is your goal with just tabling it to them?
Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, well, my hope was that it is within the function of their committee to review any procedural or bylaw changes. So I want to get in the habit of tabling bills to committee, regardless of what is actually played out in practicality, because I want all committees to function as they're supposed to. And so even though liaison committee might have not handled things like this before, they're supposed to, and I'm going to make sure that they start doing that. So I want them to give feedback on this, and it needs to be codified in the bylaws. I'd hope that someone volunteers from liaison committee to put this into the bylaws. It shouldn't be hard. If not, then someone else can do it, but it's my intention.
Yes, Senator Ganesh?
To answer your question, Senator, my understanding was we looked through it, we talked to our CCO, and then correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like we can add this to the omnibus, because it is technically will be a bylaw change. I can be wrong about it.
So it can either be a bylaw change or it can go into our standing rules. Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I would say for the liaison committee, I don't think you have to run this by the CCO. Considering that CCO reviewed it, now it goes to Senate, now we table it to committee. I think committee should review it, and then after the committee reviews it, we can have the CCO take a look at it. However, I don't think that you necessarily need his feedback. I'll say in regards to the omnibus bill, like, it's not illegal for you to do that. However, I think it's inefficient, because I think like it's a very simple piece of legislation that could just be written and done. And like, I mean, I don't want to, but I can do it if no one else wants to. It's really just copying and pasting, like it's not like that intensive. So I would recommend not including it in the omnibus bill, but I,
All right, thank you. We are now moving into old business. The first one being a bill to reform honoraria in ASUCSB version 3. This was co-written by Senator Siddiqui, Singh, and Butler. If any of you would like to speak. Senator Siddiqui?
thank you, Chair. Well, first of all, thank you so much, all of our student sponsors, our president, our internal vice president, and our student at large, Mingjun Zha. Yeah, obviously, this is funnily enough been one of the most contentiously debated bills that we've had this quarter. But I think that a lot of extensive work has been put into refining this. I want to applaud specifically student at large Mingjun Zha for taking the time to meet with EAB, to meet with all these other orgs and really make these changes. I know this is something that he's extremely passionate about, and I think it's a great piece of legislation. I always thought it was a good piece of legislation, but I'm incredibly excited and glad to hear that EAB is signed on, because I want to be implementing bylaw changes that are supported by the entirety of our organization. And it does seem that, you know, with the criticism that we had last time, it was around 9 BCUs who left negative feedback. The issue was that 5 of them were from EAB and the other 4 were not so much negative or positive as so indifferent. And then we're also considering the fact that there are a maximum of maybe 30 to 33 functioning BCUs. That's around, if we're taking 5 of them, that's maybe around 15% of the total membership of orgs that we have, and half of that 15% is now okay with it, and the other half is indifferent. So I think this is a no-brainer. I think we need to reward people for going above and beyond their duties, because there is no incentive structure for that to take place. And I just want to applaud the student sponsors and specifically Mingjun Zha for his work on this legislation, because I think it's phenomenal and I want to see it passed.
Period. Just a point, Senator Siddiqui, please refer from using terms like no-brainer. Everyone has an opinion and has a right to that. Would any of the other authors like to speak on the bill? Senator Butler?
One thing I'm really happy that, us as senators have been doing is taking the needed consultation and consideration with all the projects that we're working on. This is the 3rd version of this bill. Thank you so much, Parliamentary Zha, for your initiative, your determination, and seeing this through. I finally think that this is a really sound version that is ready for the whole association. And I'd love to see this passed tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Senator Butler. Do we have, but any other? Yeah, oh wait, okay. Now we're in discussion. Senator Iden?
I want to just say thank you to the parliamentarian. He, or I guess student sponsor in this sense, was very receptive of all the feedback. We had a couple calls and meetings. You know, we talked about this a lot because as everyone knows, I was the one who was kind of had an issue with it at first. I am very happy with where it is at now. I do have one question, because this will be tabled to next week and we won't vote on it until next week because it's a new piece of legislation, right?
No. Well,
If changes were made to
Yeah,
we did this last week, where if changes were made, we had to table it to the next meeting. But
Parliamentarian Zha?
Thank you, Chair. So if the changes bill, which is on the agenda when it's first sent out, which is I believe 2 days ago on Monday, then
Yeah, Sunday.
so there's no clear rule governing the passage of this bill. If I recall correctly, in last week, there are bills that were passed after some minor changes. So I'll say it's up to the prerogative of the Senate. If the Senate wants to table it, it will be tabled. But if the Senate wants to pass it, there's no rule against it. And yield.
Senator Iden?
Okay, so two things. One, I do believe in the past, this is what happened with the resolution, for. Like that, or like the bill that we had on the floor, we had edits that needed to be made, so we had to table it for a week. Because it was considered a new bill because changes were needed to be made. Well, I'm following up on you. The one concern I have, or just question, so on 11A, all members of the outstanding BCU shall receive one additional 100% of the honoraria on top of their original honoraria. I just wanted to confirm, was your intention to be, because I was originally thought it was going to be like, so if you earn $500, you earn 100% of that, so it'd be $1,000. It'll be $1,000 plus $500. That's just what the wording says.
Yes, parliamentarian Joe?
First to the parliamentarian question. So I believe that advice was coming from Attorney General Carlson, which was, well, I love Eric, but that's not been the practice of the Senate. And I do believe that I recall him clarifies later that he think the Senate has the authority to pass it as long as it's tabled for a week. And stepping out to my shoes of student sponsor, to be honest, English was not my native language. But my intention was that if you have 500, after you restrict the word, you get 1,000 in total. I love out if you have some wording advice, I'd love to have that. Yeah.
After reviewing, I think that what this says is, it specifically says one additional 100% of the honoraria on top of their original honoraria. So they would be receiving 200% of the honoraria for their position. They wouldn't be receiving more than that. Senator Iden?
So there's a big difference, because there's an initial concern about the 200%. 200% is not the same as 2 times an amount of honoraria. It's more than 2 times. This is, so shall receive one additional 100% of the honoraria. So that brings us from $500 to $100, or $500 to $1,000 on top of their original honoraria. That brings us to $1,500.
Senator Siddiqui?
Maybe I'm lost in translation. If I am, Senate, please correct me. From the language I'm reading, it says all members of the outstanding BCU shall receive one additional 100% of the honoraria on top of their original honoraria. So let's say a member earned $300 of honoraria. From the language I'm reading, I would interpret that as them getting another $300 of honoraria, because let's say $300 was 100% of their initial honoraria, they're getting another 100%. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I'm not a math major.
Yes, Senator Iden?
I don't think this is something that you'd like interpret. It's what it says. Shall receive one additional 100% of their honoraria on top of their original honoraria. I just would like it to be in a place where it's not misconstrued in the future. So people are not expecting $1,500 when in reality it's it is supposed to be 1,000.
It's 1 plus 100.
Isn't that just double?
Yes. Yes, it is just double. I don't know, as chair of honorary committee, I think the language is pretty self-explanatory. Yes, Senator Ganesh?
Senator, I don't follow along. Can you give us an example where this might be not 3 times?
Okay, so when you read legislation, you go from top to bottom. We have a member of a BCU. Their BCU won this award. This legislation states that that member shall receive one additional 100% of their honoraria. They should receive $1,000 on top of their original honoraria. So they're receiving the 500. In addition to that, they're getting the $1,000. That's what this says.
Okay, now I understand.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to like reread it in Portuguese. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, math is so silly. I'm like, this is why I love STEM. Senator Iden?
So I would just, if everyone gets that now, I would just propose the change that we just make it say shall receive an additional 100% of their honoraria. I believe that would solve it. So it would be $1,000. Because it'd be 100% of the amount of their honoraria, which is what this is intending to be, so it'd be 1,000.
So you're proposing the amendment of removing on top of their original
Yes.
honoraria.
Yes,
Does that need to be a motion?
I would have to open the bill.
Yeah.
Sorry, this, I
We
wish I knew.
have to motion to open the bill and then make the amendment if that is approved by the dividers.
No, it would just be everyone.
Just be everyone, okay. Senator Siddiqui?
I would just want to caution that if we do this,
We're gonna have to deal with
we
it.
would have to table it for now.
Yes, Senator Iden.
Okay, I'm trying to find, so. I'm wondering if we could alternatively pass this, have another version of this bill on next week, and we make this change.
Yes,
So
we
the,
can-
so the
we can
process can be
propose
started.
amendments Next week.
I
can
think that would
propose
also
amendments
work.
next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we pass this today, and then I could do a version of this that just changed that one line. That would
Yeah,
also work.
period,
Period.
okay. Does everyone understand?
Yes. I'm gonna do it.
Okay, period. All right, well, we're still in discussion. Senator Iden?
Motion to pass a bill to reform honorary and ASUCSB version 3.
Motion has been made to pass a bill to reform honoraria in ASUCSB version 3. Is there a second? Senator Waidula? Seconded by Senator Waidula, we're now in discussion. Yes, Senator Kara?
All questions.
A question has been called. Do you have any objections? All right, seeing that motion passes. I'm not gonna lie, when this came to my office like 4 weeks ago, I did not see it taking this long. All right, now moving out of old business. Oh, wow, we're kind of way ahead of time. Yeah, we do have reports. Agenda. But we should do the reports for someone else. That's true. All right, so now we're moving into ASUCSB reports. Would our executive director like to give the report? Thank you. There is no discussion of this. Oh, wait. Your turn's never mind.
So, question to the chair.
Yes.
I have segmented out my report a little bit, and then I've invited, the media coordinator for IVP.
Yes, our Senate media coordinator.
Yeah, and also I requested a closed door session to inform the Senate of the legal matter.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how the chair wants to segment out my time. And
Considering that I will
you're-
Considering that I will also be giving a report, Asenu, you can go during my time.
Well, we're kind of gonna, present together.
Oh, okay, that's fine, that's fine. All right, so do we have to? Close session on Okay, period. Well, okay, you have the floor. To give your report and then, we'll go back into everything after recess. Meaning, we'll go into discussion for a closed session to discuss the matter later.
Well, in that case, I'd like to go ahead and actually start at the very beginning, but, as you all know, senators and, hi, I think I've been updating this evening. I feel like I'm right there with you as you're crafting legislation, so it's cool to see you all. Thank you. Question to the chair, would you like to invite the senators to stand up for a second? Give them a little stretch before we go on with my report.
Do we want to stretch?
Yeah.
Okay, period.
You just know that.
If you guys want a really good shoulder stretch, there's this one that I do. It's like T-pose. Kind of like do this. It feels really fucking good. I suggest it. Be careful with your water for real.
I can finally do a funny warehouse class. I can finally do a funny warehouse class.
The air is nice.
Nothing. You are the.
You wanna try to? Yeah. Or do you wanna try to run Hebrew, right? Am I Hebrew? Nice moves fast, good. Exactly with the every other. Fire class.
Canta Bárbara.
All right, everybody settle down.
All right.
All right.
All right, so as you all know, usually I present to you all personnel, new issues, ongoing issues and that sort of thing. And so I'll do a brief synopsis on that as well. However, I had an opportunity, I've had a few weeks of really working in the back of the room and talking about all the work that you all do and trying to find a way to reflect out everything that you do out into the community. And so want to give the floor to you. You want to introduce yourself? And then I'll invite you all to finish up the process and approving a form so that we can actually, propel, distribute, inform everybody else on the campus of everything that you do. Go ahead.
I'm Lucinda John, and I'm the Senate Media Coordinator for this year, and I work under the IVP. And I'm a third-year English major. My minor is civic engagement, and I want to work really closely with students and like communication. So I'm like here to discuss the topic of like the Senate outreach and all of your committees and work and programs, projects. And as like a new role, I want to evolve my responsibility to like provide like the best communication for those who don't really care, don't really engage with Senate, and try to get the Instagram pumping again, because it seemed like it was at a halt last year. And I plan on to provide a channel of communication, relationships, and overall support to the student body using your guys' work. And my main objective is to get your faces out there and your goals of helping the community into like the UCSB media sphere. And through the creation of like Instagram stories about your bills that you're passing and social media campaigns and other informational posts, I hope to get students to learn more about the Senate's impact and how we can interact with them on a personal level. And some ideas I have so far is like a survey to the student body about how they think Senate works or how they think of Senate and what they think they can do better to engage with the students and expectations and concerns. Or if they want to learn more about like the political science part of this whole thing. And so far, I've been looking for campus like programs to collaborate with for this. And so far, I've only done creative media unit. And because you all have different roles in Senate and you're like all pretty important to the client of this campus. Some requests I have are if you want to post something on our UCSB Senate Instagram, to just send it to the DM there and I can repost it on the story. And another really big request, I suppose, would be when you create your bills, if you could send me or even just have it on there, like who is affected, what does this do for students, how does this affect students, and why students should care about this bill. It would be really greatly appreciated, so I can get that out to the student body. And I agree with like Senator Iden Lala Khorasanbi with the when you're speaking and you're doing the motions and you say like ideal or looks good. A little bit more input would be helpful for me and the students. And yeah, that's all I have. If you have ways to promote the Instagram account and like other suggestions, that would be helpful.
All right, thank you so much. I would also like to boost that we do have an online consent form in the Slack. Please fill that out so we can take pictures, document, post. I just want to make sure we dot all our i's, cross all our t's. Yes, Senator?
I also have a paper that I hope to go in your mouth,
Yeah.
so that you guys.
Okay, here. Thank you for taking that initiative. All right, Senator Lella?
Thank you so much for coming to us. It's great speaking to you. I just wanted to let you know that in outreach, we do have a survey that is ready to be sent out later this week, essentially about perceptions of the Senate, what the student body wants us to do in this upcoming term. I would love to share that with you so we can promote it in tandem.
Period. Senator Abdullah?
Yeah, thank you again for also coming to us. This is more of like a simple question, which is possibly want to adjust and just how can we possibly contact you or just get in touch with you about this, right?
On the form, it has both my number and my email, and you could also just honestly DM me on the Instagram account and I will respond to you.
Also, through me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Senator Martinez?
As also on outreach committee, we would love to work with you on getting those, just like I know you're saying earlier, getting the student perception survey, housing surveys, and anything that has to do with the student population and what's affecting them. We would absolutely love to work with you on that with the UCSB Instagram, social media, or whatever else you're thinking of. So we would love to do a collaboration with that.
All right, thank you. Senator Sandy?
I just want to say thank you. Your position is what we desperately need. Literally, so many people ask me, what is Senate? So I want that to change. And I'm like, thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'm just wondering, like, I know a lot of us have our own personal, like, Senate accounts. What are ways that, like, our personal, or like, not personal, but like our Senate accounts can help, like, with like, how you're running things, or like, should we do anything in particular? Like, should we like DM you on our Senate account so you can follow us or like repost us or something like that? I don't know.
I can go ahead and answer that. So I've reviewed all of the past senators' Instagrams back to like early 2010s. Something that used to be customary that was not done in the past couple of years from what I've seen, senators would literally post the bills that they work on. No pictures, no nothing, just like, hey, I'm proposing this, and then, hey, we passed this, little blurb underneath it. And then that could almost serve as like a portfolio of all of the work that you've done while in Senate. And then, yeah, that direct communication through DMs, super valuable. And then we can go ahead and start this like communication of like reposting, uplifting each other's Instagram and overall media presence. Do you have anything to add?
No, I agree with all of that.
Period. Thank you. Do we have anything else?
So the piece of paper or the sheet of paper that was going around, the reason I wanted to make sure that took this during my report is that I wanted to emphasize the reflection part, that as staff and as additional students in the audience that come to listen to you all, there's like a whole piece of that loop that is missing. And if somebody could let us know where that sheet of paper is, really appreciated, because for a few weeks we were wanting to receive direct information back from you all, allowing for your information to be distributed. And the idea is that you have your own private accounts, but you're also doing a lot of work at the Senate, and I get to see it, some staff, all of our staff get to see it, but the campus doesn't necessarily get to see it, you know? So I think that's, that was the idea of doing this presentation together. That had a large part of my job is actually advising students in my office. And so we spent a fair amount of time together, making sure that the next step is positive, but that it's involved And it involves each of you all as people and as senators. Does that make sense?
To add to that, I'm going to make, we'll try to make all of your Instagram posts, introduction posts on the ASN. Yeah. So do a good objective.
But we do need to fill out that consent form first, please.
And I
Yeah.
don't wanna, so the chair, I think there's a question.
Oh, yes, Senator Lacroni?
Yeah, so this one question to you guys. So as part of the consent form, there was a section that was like, please insert a, professional headshot. I know we had some done at AS1, but we never got those.
Good question.
Yeah.
That is a very good question, and I'm not sure if Holly heard the question, but I will ask, when I'm done with my report and get back. That's a very good question. I'm not sure.
I thought they were in a drive.
Because the ones from,
Asthma.
yeah, from, like, the one from when we first ran for the campaigns and stuff, that was shared with us, but the ones taken at AS1, like, right after breakfast, where like, you're like all like in line getting our photos taken, we never got those.
I would definitely refer to either like Sydney, or Nayeli. I'm pretty sure their office would have a copy of that
Or-
somewhere.
Or Holly versus myself. I just don't know the answer, right?
All right,
Yeah, I will close the loop though. But yes, that is one of the requests. And because it's November, it's been a few months, we wanted to make sure it was fresh. And that you're in agreement. Right?
Yep.
Okay, I think we're good. All right, any other questions? All right, I'll finish. Cool. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you all is more, in more detail, I'll share in the closed session in terms of our open session. Our personnel matters continue. We have 2 searches that are continuing for IT and web development. And there are so many applicants for those. And so they're continuing their work and should be coming to conclusion in the next couple of weeks. There is a fair amount of folks that have come on board, and we developed a new method to onboard a whole cohort of staff members. I wanted to detail that out a little bit more. It's a little hard for everyone to join us into the evening like this, but I am going to ask with the chair's agreement to invite them to either pre-record something that we can share here during Senate, so folks can identify, put a face to a name and so on. And or maybe invite them to come into one of our Senate meetings and to meet the new career staff members, if that's if the Senate leadership agrees. So those are two reports. I think in general, in terms of new issues, there were some matters having to do with a new vending machine that's been ordered and it's ready to go. I mentioned it weeks ago and I haven't told you all about it more than that because it hasn't arrived. And when it arrives, I'll let you all know, it will have a home in the Pardal Center and it will be installed there, as well as be able to distribute, be a distribution point, a new distribution point for associated students. And so that's ongoing. There is also a request for an additional vending machine, either purchase or lease. And so I'm beginning to conduct research into those options. Santa Barbara, Goleta, Carpinteria is a little hard because of corporations that are much more facile, like in Los Angeles or even Oxnard, don't come up here. But we're going to try a new approach, which is perhaps a leasing option rather than a purchase for the next vending machine. And so we're moving on that. The additional piece to that is essentially the difference between using one's card versus cash versus distributing things that are free. And in any event, the policies that pertain to our distribution points, even if it is free, there are items that are cash equivalent, meaning that we could give things away for free, but if somebody turns around and sells them, then all of a sudden there's a tax question attached to that. So the policies that pertain to our distribution sites have to be within those policies. So everything takes a little bit of extra time, but I think that we're able to proceed from there. I don't think there are any other issues per se, that are student initiated. In terms of staff initiated, procedures and other policies, there was a request at the system-wide level for a space inventory. I've mentioned to you all that I created a staff-led initiative on AS spaces, and so I brought that request because it is thorough, complete, and we've never done it room by room in terms of exactly what is in every single room of every single space that AS is responsible for. And pretty certain that I was not gonna make the deadline. So I brought the document over to AS Space Committee, which is comprised right now entirely of staff. And I wanted to invite senators, if any of you all were interested in sitting on that committee, please let me know. There's also I mentioned last time, a staff-led initiative on experiential learning. That's another opportunity for senators to work directly with career staff members, which we haven't really done before. Other than in a crisis situation, we haven't done. We actually developed entirely new teams during fires and during the pandemic, but I wanted to use that best practice now in non-crisis. So, but that's my report.
All right, thank you so much. Sarah Siddiqui?
Yeah, thank you, Executive Director. I wanted to ask about our external and internal audits. So I spoke to Michael a few days ago and he informed me that the new firm that we chose for the external audit has basically ghosted us, and it seems like they're not gonna come to attend in person. So I wanted to ask, like, what has been your experience with, in terms of communication with this new firm, the external auditor, and also, I know I spoke to Michael about potentially having myself and a couple other senators or the IVP working on finding another local Santa Barbara area auditing firm, just because I know that specifically a professional staff really wanted the auditors to be in the room, and I agree with them on that. And I think they should be like attending one of our meetings in person to get the full picture of what we are and what we do. So I wanted to ask, first of all, what's been your experience with the external auditors? And second of all, what would you recommend we can do as students to help facilitate this process if we need to pick out a new firm? Because it's looking like the one that we wanted to audit us is not gonna come first.
Thank you. It has been my experience, and I inherited the procedure of the external audit, certainly preceded. And so I was very used to a very responsive, very hands-on, very much in-person external audit firm that would come in and attend Senate meetings and come to finance and business, and before that, they used to. But in any event, the actual auditors would get to know our students, get to know the procedures that you all are working on, which is crucial to understanding controls of any kind. And so when I was directed essentially to not use the firm that we had been using for 35 years, what I did is I actually opened up an inquiry at the campus level, at the system-wide level, for reputable accounting firms that actually could do an external audit. And this particular Vasquez firm was actually recommended by the UC Office of the President. And they came highly recommended, and they were very responsive at first, and they have been for months in dialogue with me, dialogue with Michael, and dialogue really with our records, as it were. That's what they do. It's a review. It's an external audit. Yeah, on this point, I'm not willing to yield on it because I know the difference between getting you all to meet with folks that are going to need to understand how we work versus someone who's just going to receive like documents with no faces and never sitting with you all. So it's actually my request that they be in person, and they had agreed to it, and now they're not being responsive on setting a date. So my own recommendation is that we give them I give them another call and speak to the leadership of the accounting firm, because I have invested like a long time, about 7 months in this conversation, right? and just put an end to it, you know, it's like if they cannot come in person, then that's okay, we'll open up another process. And I'll come back to you all with a bidding process probably that will open at the local level. And so, yes, that's, at that time, we'll invite, Senate leadership, execs, anyone to participate in that. It's essentially the same process, but in this case, we would ask for bids. That's where that is.
Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, thank you, Executive Director. That clears a lot up. I would just ask again, please keep us updated on your conversations with them. I hope they do end up responding and coming in person, because that would suck if they don't for all that time and labor that was put in.
Yeah. We've
But
not paid them for any of their time, so it's really to their benefit to acquiesce and come and meet you all in person, because otherwise it doesn't really make any sense to anyone until you're sitting with you all.
Thank you.
yeah, I just
Senator
wanted
Siddiqui?
to conclude my thought. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask one last point. Please keep us updated on this. I would just want to make it aware to everyone that we had a external auditing firm that audited us for years. NHH is the acronym. I believe it stands for Nathan Hicks something and Co. I don't know. The prior Senate leadership wanted to move away from that external auditing firm and choose a new one. I believe we should stay on that path and choose a new auditing firm. So if we do have to go to bids and find, yes, it's Nassif Hicks Harris and Co. LLP.
Yeah.
The prior Senate leadership wanted to choose a different external auditing firm, and I believe we should stick with that plan and not go back to the traditional firm that we were with. But if the event occurs that we have to accept bids from other auditing firms, it's what we'll do, but I don't think we should return to NHH.
So it's a bid. This is a public agency, so that's the bound. So depending on how we put out the bid and how everyone responds to it, then that we'll divide it. Make sense?
All right, thank you. Do we have any further questions? All right. All right, no. All right, I'd like to give my report under executive officers reports.
Question to the chair.
Oh, yes,
Will the closed session be occurring?
yes, later.
All right.
We'll be going to discussions. Thank you so much for your time and your report. All right, my report is pretty chill. I'm just more so going over everything that my office has been doing / has done. This is also an opportunity to invite any of you that are interested in anything that my office is doing, to just like come to my office hours or reach out to me, so we can work on these things together. I wanted to thank all the senators that have come up to me, just with questions about like consultation, who to go to. Yeah, so I'm pretty much just gonna be reading down a list of things that we've been doing. I want to start off with the most recent project, which we've been collaborating with a couple of senators, the pro temps, of course, and then also the student advocate general. We're reviewing standing policy 1, so that specifically refers to conduct. I feel like, you know, that this space has created a lot of negativity in the past, and we just want to make sure that everyone has an understanding of like procedure and also how to interact with each other in the space, and also kind of just like how to navigate interpersonal harm. Just have processes down for that. The next, I'm currently exploring the process for implementation of our ethical spending bill. Right now, we've kind of been in conversation about centering the bill around like not supporting corporations as a whole that have human rights violations as well as unfair labor practices. We have been noticing a lot of like overlap in that. So yeah, and especially with an emphasis on how to support local businesses, local and small businesses. So just providing the student body with alternative options when we do educate on what our boycotts are. I have worked extensively and advised extensively the creators of the GFIP program, so LEU, shout out to them, as well as the honorary reform bill. Been just, again, checking with a lot of BCUs, seeing how they feel, also reviewing the eligibility process and the overall, like, I guess, like, criteria for what constitutes as an outstanding VCU. I advise and am currently helping the WHC develop and instate the Black Hair Care Vending Machine. This has been a demand of ours for a really long time, so I'm really excited for this project. Thank you so much for Director Marquez's help and wise words throughout this entire process. And also, shout out to you, Karis, and our Black Empowerment Task Force as a whole. I'm currently assisting the MCC in meeting accessibility needs. In the last year, they've applied for a grant to meet some of the accessibility needs. So if you're not familiar with the space, there's a stage and there's no way to get on the stage if you have a wheelchair. So just reviewing a lot of options, necessities, talking extensively with code, and yeah, and just reviewing a lot of online material and ethical sources to get that ramp. We've approved retroactive and summer honoraria, let's go, and are currently reviewing the honoraria process as a whole. Thank you so much, Parliamentarian Jaw. We could not have done it without you. I'm gonna miss you, but it's okay. We have worked with our senators to add the, I cannot pronounce this word. Abrahamic, is that correct? Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. Abrahamic and non-Abrahamic holidays to the IVP calendar in order to be more conscious of student needs and student culture, just equity as a whole. I've been in talks with our VCSA, for you guys that don't know, that's the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs Office, about student rights and regental policy implementation at UCSB. So specifically looking at the time and place manner, as well as the mask bans that has been a massive concern overall, and also talking about, sorry, I'm blanking. I'm very out of it. But if any of you would also like to get in touch with the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs Office, please reach out to me. I've also been talking to them extensively about the NAGPRA Compliance Office, which shout out to Senator Lankarani for coming to me for consultation and how we can develop that. If any senators would also like to be a part of that process, we have set up a pretty solid game plan. Yeah, so really excited about that. Like I said before, we're currently revising the honoraria process and grievances affiliated to better suit students' needs. And overall dedication to the association. A product of that was Mingjan's offering, Parliamentarian Jaw's offering of the honorary reform bill. Very happy to be a part of that. And yeah, so moving forwards, we would like to have a process where we don't have to wait so long to check students' eligibility for honoraria and more so focus on chair reports and other things. But overall, just having more communication, more time for communication with BCUs as a whole. I'm also working with my head of accountability officer. Sorry, the names are like, there's so many. Head of accountability officer to see what needs BCUs have in terms of financial education, as well as onboarding processes. A lot of our staff is stretched thin. So a lot of chairs come in a little bit like desequilibrado, how do I say that? Just kind of like at a loss for how to move forwards as a chair. So making sure that we have those resources, that people are aware, hey, you have to come in and give reports each quarter. Hey, you have to submit your minutes, this is how. So making sure that everyone has that knowledge. I'm also currently working with my internal affairs coordinator to set up an anonymous grievances form. So this would be all AS internal grievances. This would be checked by my internal affairs officers, which I have 2 of. So if any of you would like to get in touch with me about that process, please let me know. This was a part of my platform. I'm really excited. We were just waiting for people to get their emails for real. And now we do. Shout out to Jasmine. So yeah, we have that coming soon. Hopefully we'll be done by the end of this week because I think we got our emails last week. I'm currently advising the creation of a new BCU. Thank you so much to Alexa for bringing this forward, Senator Butler for bringing this forward. I'm really excited to see like what that process will look like in this space. I have been advising Senate standing committees through onboarding and in developing ideas for projects that meet the strategic vision plan. Thank you so much for Senator Siddiqui for bringing this forwards and also doing a lot of consultation with me. I really appreciate that. And I think that, you know, having this more so like focus on what we do as a Senate, just ensures that we're kind of all on the same page. We're all dedicated and that each of our visions are coming to life in tangible ways. I have worked with Senator Singh to revise financial policy regarding exceptions. Thank you so much for including me in that process and for the long conversations. And I have a couple more. Another one, I've been supporting the Black Empowerment Task Force. We have some really great missions and I've been reviewing all of that with the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs Office. We've been reaching out to the DEI office, reaching out to past Black alumni, and that entire process has been giving us a really well-rounded version of history at UCSB. So I really appreciate everyone who's been a part of that. And then also hiring and onboarding of the IVP staff. Everyone has been hired for a while, but I just wanted to announce that. Thank you so much, Osenu, for coming today. And yeah, just bringing everything forwards. We want to make sure that our Senate Instagram is a platform that people can consistently refer to. I swear, as soon as we get the backend access to our email, it's over for these, I can't say hoes, but people. Yeah, so I'm really excited about all that finally getting updated. We've created and recorded the Foundations for Abolishing Anti-Blackness Bias training. I feel like that training went really well. Very excited to get that to the student body. Shout out to Sydney for working extremely hard at AS1 and for the consistent back and forth. Amazing communicator. Very excited about the work that the ASAP office is doing. And yeah, lastly, but honestly, the worst was reviewing and approving legal code for 24-25. Shout out to parliamentarian Shaw for doing that with me. That process was so long, but so worth it. I'm also very excited to be working alongside Holly to get a live version. So we just have things that students are updated on. I know in the past, in being a member of the association, it was always really hard to kind of catch up with what was being introduced in the moment versus what was and is publicly available. So all of that is a lot, and I'm really excited for this digitization process as a whole, because it meets accessibility needs. So yeah, that's pretty much my report. If anyone has any questions, email me, please. Come to my office hours are usually 4 to 6, but I do suggest making appointments because they do book up pretty fast. I also have like sporadic office hours throughout the week. I'll be in there for like a couple of hours at a time, pretty much every single day. But yeah, that's pretty much my report. Thank you so much to everyone that's been here for me, especially because I've been on and off sick for the past month and also grieving. Also, again, shout out to Parliamentarian Jean for bringing me blueberries this week. Like, I need you to understand it was so important to me. I really appreciate you. And yeah, does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Oh, also, I have been talking to Katya Armistead about the reflection room. We are currently like, we are kind of doing a little bit of what, Director Marquez said about like reevaluating all the spaces we have available. We're currently looking at a space in the SRB. Has that been relayed to the committee?
Yeah, it has been like the committee.
Okay,
discussed
cool.
About it probably like a while ago, to pretty much confirm that we already had like a spot, like pretty ideal in like the SRB already with staff. If you guys haven't been already informed by that.
Yeah.
Gathering out, but yeah, that's like our idea though too.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago, but if there's anything like holding up the process, please let me know. Has there been any follow-up about that?
There
Because
has been-
Point of order, please only speak when you're called on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sarah, why do that?
Apologies for that. Yes, there has been, and can also elaborate towards that. We did have recently a meeting with the operations board on this MD regards towards our bar, whether it is approval or any feedback towards like specific room we chose, and I had to speak with my committee as well as like reaching out towards MSA board, drafting some feedback towards it. So far, it went pretty well, and so far, we're discussing about it daily, that we might have a confirmed like meeting with the other the board operations where she's also in December. So again, I haven't had much time recently to like for this committee about that yet, but yes, I can also reach to you also about the information for that. So and continue wants to.
All right, thank you so much for the updates. That meeting with Katya was like a while ago, but I just wanted to make everyone aware that things are moving. Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, thank you, Chair and Senator Hegel. Pertaining to the reflection room, so a few senators met with the president and the organizing director for the EVPSA, and we met with the SRB operations team. What I didn't know is that there's an SRB operations team and also an SRB governance board.
Yep.
Because the USEN has a governance board, but the SRB has both. So in our discussion with the operations team, they are essentially kind of the first line of defense, for lack of better phrasing, to evaluate proposals to change up the space of the SRB, and then the governance board is the final board that approves it. So currently, what our objective was to establish the reflection room within the student resource building for a few reasons. Number one, because it's close to the MNSARC, which is, primarily the community that will most likely be using it. Also because of its proximity to bathrooms and water, for students who, I know specifically for my faith, we do have to do something called wudu and be clean before we pray. I assume it's the same for many other faiths, but I'm not sure of the correct terminology, so I don't want to misspeak. So those are some of the reasons why we considered the SRB. We were not able to convert any of the CLAS rooms into a reflection room because it conflicted with the long-range development plan of the university. It's made in 2010, lasts for 15 years, so it's just about to expire. But we were able to convince the operations team to consider there's a larger open space that's not it's next to the CLAS rooms, but it's not one of the CLAS rooms. We were able to convince them into looking into converting that space into a reflection room. However, there is going to need to be construction changes that are made to the room in order to ensure that it can fulfill its purpose. And we will need to have a follow-up meeting with the SRB governance board, but that's where we are now in regards to the problem.
All right, thank you so much for those updates. I'm really excited. I do know some people on that SRB governance board, so if anything halts and there's like communication dies, please let me know. I'm here to support all of you as not only a facilitator in Senate, but a facilitator between all of our internal bodies, both UC-wide, including AS. Yeah, any further questions, comments, concerns? No. Yes, Senator Butler.
You're working on so much here. I appreciate all the work that you're doing. Definitely doesn't go unseen. And also thank you for communicating it as well. I'm glad you were able to share all the really amazing projects that you're doing and all the collaboration as well. But yeah, if you ever need more support, just like.
Yeah, thank you so much, Senator Butler. It is a lot of work, and my work is not limited to my work is not limited to Senate. Oh, another thing I forgot to talk about is, I am on the Academic Affairs Committee, and recently we have been talking about, AI usage, within like the academic settings and, UC policies for that. We have currently drafted something that we will be proposing to the Academic Senate soon. For those that are not familiar with the Academic Affairs Committee, it is, oh, okay, I'm sorry. It is like all, from my understanding, everyone that showed up, it was mostly internal vice presidents and presidents of each UC, so it's UC wide. And yeah, we just have pretty long conversations bi-weekly about any internal issues and academic issues that are coming up. And how we can propose policy changes. So if there's anything that anyone would like to propose, please let me know. I feel like especially now more than ever, we do kind of need those parameters for how to like navigate through AI usage. It can be helpful. It's also bad for the environment. I will but yeah, so that's pretty much what came out of that really long meeting. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Yeah, no, oh, I did see this. Okay, good. Oh, no, I did not see that. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, but that pretty much wraps my report up. And now we have recess. Recess now.
No.
We need a motion.
Oh, we
Alright, we need a motion to go into recess.
Order.
Yes, Senator Butler?
Motion to enter a 15-minute recess at 8:59.
Just say 9.
Oh, at 9 to 9:15.
All right, there's been, motion to go into recess from 9 to 9:15. Is there a second, Senator Kana? Seconded. Are there any objections? Senator Siddiqui?
Call the question.
Do you have any objections? None, motion passes unanimously. Let's go to recess.
Come here, do this.
Take a look at this.
So for the-
Take a look at this.
Should we go to- All right, we are now in discussion items. Senator Siddiqui,
I motion to enter a closed session to discuss a legal matter inviting all senators and proxies, the internal vice president, the executive director, the associate director for governmental affairs, the associate director for student engagement and leadership, the senate parliamentarian, minute takers, and the attorney general.
all right, there has been a motion to enter a closed session to discuss a legal matter, inviting all senators and proxies, the IPP, executive director, the associate director for governmental affairs, associate director for student engagement and leadership, the senate parliamentarian, the minute takers, and the attorney general. Do we have a second? Senator Rocio?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Rocio, we're now in discussion. Senator Ganesh? The question has been called. Do we have any objections? All right, seeing none, motion passes. We are now entering closed session. Holly, motion has been, no, I think you should do that next week.
No, we're doing it today. We're doing it today.
Okay, motion has been made to add, a bill to, sorry, a bill to reform honoraria in
No, no.
UCSB, onto new business. Do we have a second?
No,
It's point of order. It's a bill to improve the outstanding BCU award. It's the change that we discussed earlier.
Oh, a bill to, sorry, a motion has been made to add a bill. Fuck, if it's not on the thing and I can't read it, it's too much.
I sent it, it should be in your email.
Oh, you sent them an email, okay. Motion has been made to add, a bill to, a bill to improve the outstanding BCU award onto new business. Do we have a second? Senator Lala?
second.
Seconded by Senator Lala, we are now in discussion. Senator Crisandi,
Call the question.
the question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
All right, seeing no objections, motion passes. All right, Senator Siddiqui,
Sorry, one last parliamentary fix. I meant to table a bill to expedite the usage of student fees to the finance committee instead of just to the Senate, so. I motion to reconsider the motion to table a bill to expedite the usage of student fees for 1 week.
a motion has been made to reconsider the motion to table a bill to expedite the usage of student fees for 1 week. Senator Singh,
Are we striking it or we reconsidering?
Parliamentarian.
parliamentarian job?
If we reconsider it, it's better if we reconsider it. And then after it's reconsidered, it's basically a motion being made job. Then we can pass new motion on the bill. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a second, for the motion to reconsider a motion to table a bill to expedite the usage of student fees for 1 week? Senator Iden?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Iden, we are now in discussion. Senator Lala,
Call the question.
the question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes. Senator Siddiqui,
Motion to table a bill to expedite the usage of student fees to the finance committee.
there's been a motion to table a bill to expedite the usage of student fees to the financial committee. Do we have a second, Senator Iden?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Iden. We are now in discussion. Senator Lankarani.
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. Senator Iden?
Motion to, parliamentarian, can I motion the bill I just put on the agenda, or do I need to discuss it first?
You technically you need to introduce it, which can be 2 seconds.
Okay,
Senator Iden?
so I introduced this bill, a bill to improve the outstanding BCU where it fixes the typo.
All right, thank you. Senator Iden?
Motion to table a bill to improve the outstanding BCU award.
There's been a motion to table for how long?
It's 1 week till next week.
All right, there has been a motion to table, fuck, where is it?
Bill to improve the outstanding BCU.
Bill to improve the outstanding BCU award for 1 week. Senator Lala,
Second.
seconded by Senator Lala. We are now in discussion. Senator Kadat?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. Senator Iden?
I would like to do the proposed amendments change very fast.
All right, we are now moving into action items. Senator Iden?
Motion to open proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate.
There has been a motion to open proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate. Do we have a second? Senator Corsandy?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Corsandy. We are now discussion. Senator Canal? Question has been called. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. Senator Iden?
Motion to strike hand vote in C1A and replace it with recorded vote.
There has been a motion to amend, proposed amendments to the standing rules of ASUCSB, the 75th Senate. Striking the, C1 from
C1A.
requirement of hand vote to requirement for recorded vote
Yeah, replace it with recorded vote.
and replace it with recorded vote. Do we have a second? Senator Lala?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Lala. We are now in discussion. Senator Wang? The question has been called. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. All right.
Means.
Are we not, are we not, are we not, are we not addressing this now? Senator Iden?
I'm sorry. Motion to amend C1AI hand vote to recorded vote.
There's been a motion to amend C1AI from hand vote to recorded vote. Senator Wang? Seconded by Senator Wang. We are now discussion. Senator Siddiqui?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes. Senator Iden?
Motion to close proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate.
There's been a motion to close proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate. Senator Waidula? Motion has been seconded. We are now discussion. Senator Seo? The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes. Senator Iden?
Motion to pass proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate.
There has been a motion to pass proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate. Do we have a second? Senator Corsandy?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Corsandy. We are now in discussion. Senator Wang?
There's one more mention of hand vote in C1.
Would you like to rescind your motions?
You need to open.
I know. Wait, just me, Dan, and Enrique, this will be really quick. Motion to open proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate.
There has been a motion to open, C1A,
Motion to open.
C1 which? Just open proposed amendments of the standing rules and Senate for the ASUCSB Senate. Senator Siddiqui,
Second.
seconded by Senator Siddiqui. We are now discussing. Senator Rocio. The question has been called. Do you have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes to open. Senator Iden?
Motion to amend C1 hand vote to recorded vote.
There's been a motion to change was C1?
C1 hand vote.
C1, I thought we did that motion.
No, we
though.
did C1A.
Oh, fuck, okay. There's been a motion to change C1 from hand vote to recorded vote. Senator Lala,
Second.
seconded by Senator Lala. We are now in discussion. Senator Siddiqui?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes. Senator Iden?
Megan, could I close and pass, or do I need to close then pass?
You
No.
need to close.
Okay, motion to close proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate.
Close, proposed amendments to standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate. Senator Cadal? Seconded by Senator Cadal. We are now in discussion. Senator Corsandy?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes. Senator Iden?
Motion to pass proposed amendments to the standing rules of the 75th ASUCSB Senate.
There's been a motion to pass proposed amendments to the standing rules of the ASUCSB Senate of the 75th ASUCSB Senate. Do we have a second? Senator El Khatib? Seconded by Senator El Khatib. We're now discussion. Senator Bernardson?
I think if we're gonna vote by hand, from now on, should we vote on this by hand?
No. We just removed that.
Okay.
We just removed that.
For recording.
Yeah.
Thank
you for the point. All right, you're now discussion. Senator Seo? The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you. Now moving into minutes. Senator Iden?
Motion to bundle and approve all minutes and allocations.
There's been a motion to bundle and approve all minutes and allocations. Do we have a second? Senator Kadal? Second. Seconded by Senator Kadal. We are now in discussion. Senator Crescendi,
Call the question.
the question has been called. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. We are now moving into appointments. Senator Crescendi,
Motion to bundle and approve all appointments.
there's been a motion to bundle and approve all appointments. Senator Iden,
Second.
seconded by Senator Iden. We are now in discussion. Senator Knapp,
Call the question.
the question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
That motion passes to bundle and approve all appointments. We are now in acceptance of the agenda. Senator Iden,
Motion to accept the agenda.
there's been a motion to accept the agenda. Senator Ganesh, seconded by Senator Ganesh. We are now in discussion. Senator Crescendi,
Call the question.
the question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes. Senator Iden,
Motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:51 PM.
there's been a motion to adjourn the meeting at
10:51.
1 PM. Do you have a second, Senator Senator Lankarani?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Lankarani. Executive Director?
Did the chair close the meeting just now?
Almost.
We are in the motion to close the
Oh,
meeting.
Good. Just inviting the chair to consider having each member at the table say one thing that they appreciate about.
Can we do that after we close?
So to the chair.
Okay, period. I want to do that after we close. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. All right. Seconded by Senator Lankarani. We are now in discussion. Senator Crescendi.
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes to end our meeting at 10:51 PM. All right, before you get up,